Once the Soviet Union collapses, there is good news. The remaining Jews are allowed out of the Soviet Union. Once again, whether they want to go this time to the US or Israel, they're free to go wherever they want. Some even decide to go to Germany. God only knows why. The other good news, the Jewish nationality no longer mandatory. Congratulations, now anybody born in the Soviet Union does not have to be declared a Jew. Anybody renewing their passport post-Soviet Union does not have to declare themselves a Jew. They could say they are Ukrainian, they could say they are Russian, and we all lived happily ever after, or did we? Now that we are no longer obliged to call ourselves Jew, we are now subject to Alan Dershowitz's theory of survival. How long will we remain Jews? You see, the Sovietization disconnected the Jewish population from its own roots, my own roots, and from Western Jewry alike. Those of you whose families came over here in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they came over still as Orthodox Jews. They were allowed to keep their orthodoxy or integrate with American society as much or as little as they wanted. They were able to keep their traditions in any way they wanted. We didn't have that choice. I was born, for all intents and purposes, Russified, except that I was not allowed to be Russian. This disconnect, however, is increasingly a challenge for us today. We have little binding us to the vast Jewish population of the free world, to American Jewry as a whole, and this becomes a problem even further. Before I get to that, though, I'd really like to go back to my introduction of asking who here is Russian, and ask for you to please never let yourself be identified as Russian again. To do so, I believe, denies the hundreds of years of anti-Semitic oppression and of discrimination. It is the same thing as what I call the Rus-Holme Syndrome. Many of you may be familiar with the Stockholm Syndrome. It is a syndrome in which hostages, captives, start to ally themselves with their very abductors. Because they start to feel like these are the people who can give them life, they are in control of them, and they're not so bad, they're keeping them alive, right? Well, guess what? We were hostages in the Soviet Union. We did not come there willingly. We were taken as part of the partition of Poland, and we were certainly not allowed to go free. We were negotiated for. My family and the entire 1979 wave, which began a little bit before that and ended a little after that, we were traded for grain. If that's not held ransom, I don't know what is. Sharansky was actually traded along with 2 American spies, Western spies, for 5 Eastern European Soviet spies across a bridge in Berlin. That is hostages. Please, don't let anybody call you Russian. If they say so, tell them that's not the case. There is a Russian ethnicity. There is a Russian nationality. We were never allowed to be it. We are Soviet Jews, ex-Soviet Jews, Russian Jews, ex-Russian Polish Jews. We're all Ashkenazis. What you want to identify yourself as is fine, but please, we are not Russians, we are not Poles. We are Jews.